What to say to someone with a life-threatening illness. It's hard to know what to say to support someone who is suffering from a serious or terminal illness. In situations like these, one feels awkward and finds it hard to look for things to say. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to talk about things that one should say to someone with a life-threatening or terminal disease. So without further ado, let's get right to the video. It can be hard to find the right words, especially when the situation is as vulnerable as this. But sometimes words don't matter as much as the comforting presence of a loved one. But still, one ends up criticizing themselves for not knowing what to say and ending up saying the wrong thing and not being there to give emotional support to your friend or a loved one. So here's a list of things and tips that can help you decide what to say. Focus on what you need to say and not what you want to hear. Maybe the hardest thing about starting a conversation is the fear that the next person might not feel the same. For instance, when you tell someone you love them, you need to keep the possibility in mind that they might not feel the same about you. But this does not mean that you shouldn't say what you need to, even if the reply is something you might not want to hear. Unfortunately, vulnerability can't be avoided in heart-to-heart conversations, so it's important to be prepared for a response other than what you want. You can try, but you can't control how or what the other person feels, says, or does. You can only control what you say and do. But this doesn't make expressing yourself any less important. In fact, expressing yourself to another person is valuable whether or not that person responds as you had hoped. So what needs to be said? Sometimes you're so close with a person and have so much to tell them that you don't even know where to start. You may find yourself thinking, there's too much to talk about, I'm better off not even trying. While it is true that people with a terminal illness may be fatigued and might not want to hold long conversations, it doesn't mean you should hold back. But you need to keep the conversation short though, so that you can say what you want without adding a lot of extra details. A good strategy in both cases is to ask yourself, what do I most need to say? To help figure out what this might be, take a few minutes to make a list of things you wish you could talk with your loved one about. These can range from completely trivial to extremely important. Don't censor or criticize your ideas. Just get as many down on paper as possible. Once you're done doing that, you can examine the list and figure out what you should say first. If there are any overlapping ideas like love, trust, care, etc., you know the core thing that you want to talk about: love. Don't run away from an honest talk. People often try to divert the conversation topic when they need to have an honest, heavy talk. This way, they never get the chance to say what they actually wanted to. Instead of being all cheery and saying everything is going to be awesome, it is better to come to terms with the reality and the gravity of the situation by having an honest talk. In a search, cancer patients were asked about the least and most helpful things that their friends and family did for them. Among the least helpful, patients complained that people sometimes minimized the seriousness of their disease or forced cheerful conversation upon them. In contrast, they found it incredibly helpful when family members calmly accepted the reality of the illness. Whenever a difficult or emotional conversation is bound to happen, we try to delay it as much as possible. At times, it becomes awkward to express what we really feel, so we bring up random and irrelevant topics. Also, sometimes a person intentionally doesn't talk about how he or she actually feels because of the response that they might get. For example, when someone asks you how you are, instead of telling them the truth, you say, "I'm fine," because otherwise you'd have to explain things and the response that you probably would get is, "Don't worry, it's going to be okay." When this happens, one doesn't really feel very comfortable talking to someone about how they really feel, does it? Just be there for them. One doesn't always have the right words, and that's okay too. Simply being there is enough too, sometimes in silence. So if you can't think of anything to say, consider other ways of showing affection that doesn't necessarily involve words. Watch a favorite movie with your loved one, cook them a favorite dish, or buy them a new blanket, or talk about their favorite book. The worst thing you can do at a time like this is to make this about yourself and how you feel, and how you would feel if they're gone. This will only make them more upset. If they want to sit in silence with you, then you should respect that too. Listen to them. While your words and embraces might bring comfort, the most important thing that you need to do is to listen. A person who is struggling may need a sounding board or a sympathetic ear to help work through difficult emotions. You can be infinite help to a person by simply listening. They might want to talk about old times and their favorite stories and how hard it has been for them. The best thing you can do is listen to them. Not just hearing what they're saying, but actually listening to what they have to say and reminding them that they still have your love and support, and they will continue to do so. Supporting someone who is facing a life-threatening or terminal illness is one of the most difficult and heartbreaking things any of us might ever have to do, but it is something that we shouldn't shy away from. And it is completely okay if you don't get to have long conversations with them on a daily basis. What is more important is that you're there for them and keep reminding them that they are loved and treasured. You can bring them flowers and read their favorite books to them if they're up for it. That was all about today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you liked it, don't forget to give it a like and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. We will see you guys in our next video. Until then, take care.